as I mentioned to you, and you all of course know that perfectly well, the vazifa is the second practice which you take on. And the first practice being the namaz, the second practice being the vazifa, third practice being the zikr, as we hope to look tonight. And this, as I said yesterday, maybe I might recall that again. In the first stage, what's the sense of namaz? That is where, since Sufism is a theist form of discipline, like all the Western religions, from Zoroaster, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Manichaeism, all these were monotheistic or are monotheistic religions, and part of the Hindu tradition is also theistic, but also Hinduism has a particular aspect which is not atheistic, mind you, not at all, but non-theistic, like Buddhism. So you have these different forms, and so in between these forms, our Sufism is a typical Indian theistic method of meditative fulfillment. And so there you get that the first aspect is namaz, where that awareness of divine being is given an anthropomorphic shape. That is the God of religion. The God of religion which you focus on as on a person. You see God as that person, or at least you associate God with a personal aspect. Now, if we think about our relations of human beings amongst one another, how we perceive our fellow man is also very different. We start with focusing, necessarily when we meet somebody, we focus on the physical aspect of that person. We see a person before us. We shake hands, or if we are good Sufis, we do namaskar. I hope that will be one thing which we Sufis will continue. I find it such a beautiful exercise from India and Indonesia where they have this. But anyway, you first shake hands, or whatever you do, you meet that person physically. But then, whether your contact, your friendship, your appreciation of that person continues depends first maybe on the quality of mind. And you say, well, I like this person because he thinks in such a way, he speaks in such a way, his own mental makeup is such that he or she appeals to me. And so I have that contact with that person. So that the contact, there's the dominant contact is that of the mind. Now you get further, you see somebody who you might not communicate so easily intellectually, mentally, but you might have a contact with the heart. That's such a nice person, such a warm-hearted person, such a cordial person. Very often that goes even beyond the intellectual appreciation of a person, goes to that quality of the heart, to that warmth of heart, to that inner being which radiates out and moves you in a way and which gives you a deeper sense of contact with the person. Finally, you might find somebody who you say, well, I don't know what the kind of a person it is, and you know, very often these are dervishes and such people, you know, well, what a kind of shabby person this is and what is that. But the radiance of that person, you perceive his soul. That again is the first. So again, in your appreciation of another human being, that will be passed through these four forms of appreciation. Now, if we deal with divine reality, it's exactly the same. We start with an image of divine reality, a very personalized image, a very simply the God in a very anthropomorphic shape. That is our namaz. And you know, if you have the system you follow, it's simply important that you follow these stages. That in every stage of your consciousness, you attach to that element of divine reality which corresponds to your own situation at a particular time. So, After that stage of namaz, which kind of settles in you, that image of a theistic reality also in the form of personal Godhead, then the next stage is the vazifa. And there you pass beyond the concept of divine reality in, let us say, an anthropomorphic form. The form is a kind of your human being is really very superior, but still conceived in human terms, in terms of human, of what we know for human beings, but then of course in a perfect way. But then the next stage is no longer you focus on the form of the Godhead, but on the inner attributes of the Godhead. His attributes, his sifatullah, the characteristics of divine being. So that's exactly the same as with a human being. You say, well, you know, never mind what he looks like, but his mind is so brilliant and his heart is so warm, and so we have these values that we appreciate in him. See, and that is exactly the thing you want with Vazifas as well. For Vazifas, it is not that you include them into an anthropomorphic element, you pass by the anthropomorphic element of your namaz stage into the perception of these attributes, beyond the outer form of an anthropomorphic form, into the character, again, these attributes which we recite are still derived from our human awareness, as God in the form of a great personality is derived from the form of our awareness of our physical being. And so the Vazifas are still human awareness of our human characteristics, but seen against the background of a divine reality, which informs it, which gives it life, which is the real reality of that which we repeat. In a way, you could regard these sifatillah, these vazifas, as, let us say, a kind of radio or a kind of television. You establish that into yourself in order that you gather from that unseen reality which is somewhere, you know, radio waves, the television pictures, whatever. But you get them in that apparatus you've got in your own room. So in the same way you have in your own mind, you have a certain facility, you have a certain picture, and this is a picture which you evoke yourself. But through it, you seek to achieve that unseen reality in that particular shape, which is that which you can comprehend, which you can understand, because these are attributes which are also the familiarity for you. Then, of course, to anticipate in the evening, but you all know that, of course, this third stage is that of the zikr, and there you are no longer a question of attributes to which you seek to focus upon the unseen reality. You should focus on that unseen reality itself, upon the dhati ilahi. After the sifat ilahi, that means the attributes, the divine attributes, you focus on the divine essence. That's the idea of zikr. And then the fourth stage, which we get tonight, after having observed that zikr practice, you get the fourth of the four which I mentioned to you before, which is repeating in a particular way. Maybe we can practice that with zikr a little later, if we have time. You place into the breath, because doing an exercise, the exercise we do is like, well, in an old-fashioned expression, winding the clock. It is an expression which in Muslim Islam is so perfectly valid. And so winding that clock, but why do you wind that clock? In order that it will work for a certain time. And so, really speaking, when you do these vazifas, and particularly when you do your vazifas at home and you're busy with these practices in your own context, remember that at least as much time as you devote to a particular practice, take at least as much time at just having a silence after it. because that's when it has to come to life, that is when it has to show its results. It's not that it, you know, these Vasifas are not a kind of magical formula that you say, well, now it's there. Well, no. It is something which helps your being to be attuned in a particular depth of perception and try to, through the silence following the practice, try to hold out something of that awareness which that attribute has created in you.